Hello, fellow Stories Before Bed listeners. Merry Christmas and happy holidays to you all. And I know that during the holidays, you want comfort, joy, peace, but this is not what we're about. That is not what we're about. Stories Before Bed is about scaring you with all kinds of folk tales, myths, legends, phenomenons from all over the world. And this is exactly what we're doing in today's episode too. And
No Yule-log today.
what was that? You know?
Yeah, the Yule-log, you know.
Oh yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're a first-time listeners or viewer, my name is Darren,
I'm Michael.
and today we have a special holiday seasonal episode, and this story is the Krampus.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is opposite of Santa Claus.
Believe
For those who don't-
Santa's little helper in a way.
Yeah, in a way, it is. So, I'm gonna jump right into it, and then before I even get into the legend and the story of it all, let me describe the appearance of this so-called Krampus monster. So the appearance of Krampus is he's usually, first of all, he's like half man, half goat kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, you know, your usual, the usual half man, half goat
Yeah,
guy.
the usual.
Yeah.
So he is hairy, usually brown or black,
Mm-hmm.
and right here it says that one foot has like cloven hooves and then the horns of goats, and long pointed tongue that like drops out. So I guess it goes all the way down. I don't know how long. And also he has fangs.
Yeah, and you know, and I'm sure like the dating scene was probably tough for him, you know.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's gonna do about those dating apps here with that look, huh?
Yeah.
And to add on to that, so he also carries chains, which is, they're saying that's like a symbolizes like the binding of the devil by like Christian church. That's what they're saying, and then also there's the chains are accompanied by bells of like all kinds of sizes. And then he also carries a bundle of birch branches, which you'll know later on when I get into the legend, what the birch does. So that's basically the appearance description of this monster.
Yeah.
Krampus. And then the other additional thing that he carries around is on Christmas Eve, he does carry around or he travels around with like a sack or basket. So this is also relates to yeah. So that's kind of, so I guess normally he doesn't have that, but on Christmas Eve he does.
Yeah, so his sack's not filled with toys for boys and girls.
No. So Legend of Krampus dates back centuries. And so it originates from the kind of Alpine folklore or Germany. So it's like the German Christmas tradition. This is like during the 12th century. So according to the traditional narratives of this folklore, so Krampus would enter into towns and he would like be swinging, lashing his bells and chains. And then his main objective or goal was to capture the bad children in his basket or sack and bring them down to the underworld. Or the other thing is that he uses the birch branches to swat the children.
Yeah.
I don't know where. Maybe on the butt or whatever.
Yeah. I'm sure that, and that probably was somehow related to spanking and that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I guess the spanking is more like for lighter punishment, but the really, really naughty kids are the ones that get captured and put into the sack or basket, and then he would bring them, to basically to the underworld or hell, and then he may like torture them and eat them eventually, which is actually kind of brutal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Very Christmassy.
very Christmassy. In the 17th century, I guess, just kind of fast forwarding a little bit. So Krampus has always been paired with Saint Nicholas as a helper.
Yeah, I know. Who thought those guys would be like a buddy duo? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they were really buddies, but I just think that Krampus was just assigned to him and he didn't really have a choice, but it's like, okay, I'll just bring you along. What they're saying is that the reason why they had that kind of setup is St. Nicholas is known to be a saint, so it's not very saintly for him to punish kids because he's known to be the good saint person who brings like kids presents and gifts and
Right.
really loving and all that kind of image. But then in order to have sort of like a bad cop, good
Yeah.
cop situation, you need to bring a helper with them to punish bad kids.
So the PR department back then, he was really into
Yeah.
focus with let's create this Krampus guy. And
That's Chris Campus guy.
yeah.
So this is actually interesting. This part, like the real, I guess the real roots of Krampus. Krampus roots actually have nothing to do with Christmas. Because it actually dates all the way back to what they say pre-Germanic paganism in that region. Because I guess Krampus is considered to be like pagan god.
Yeah.
And then so the name originates with the German, which is called Krampen, which means claw when you translate it. And so I guess from that Krampen they translated to kind of Krampus in like American name. And so supposedly he is the son of the Norse god of the underworld. And during the 12th century, the Catholic Church attempted to banish like Krampus, attempt to like lock him into the underworld or just almost like Lucifer, like that kind of like
yeah.
feel.
Yeah, definitely.
Not only that, it's been in media or even in public culture. I actually made some films about it too.
Huh?
And so it's funny thing here is that like since the 19th century, the Europeans they have been exchanging greeting cards that features Krampus on the greeting card.
Okay.
I don't know whose idea it is that think it's a nice idea to send that greeting card to a family, that has a Krampus like devil.
Yeah.
Anyways, and then also along with that, they'll have people will write like humorous poems and rhymes and even music about Krampus. And I think as recently as in the 21st century in today's generation, I think there was like a few places in America that they're like holding or organizing these like Krampus festivals where you see people like dress up as Krampus and just going crazy like it's almost like another Halloween party, but it's not, which is so weird.
It's similar. Well, it sounds like kind of like the Mothman thing where people like to dress up.
Kind of like that. Yes,
Play.
exactly. Yeah. But I think Krampus is a much bigger, has a much bigger scale than maybe even Mothman. But
For sure. I was just gonna say what's fascinating to me is so I'm like I have German, like I'm descendant from German people,
great.
citizenry or whatever. And so you would think that I would have like German, like German traditions involving Krampus, but I literally never heard of Krampus until maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
I see. Got it.
Yeah. So my parents never mentioned this whole thing about this weird creature that's going around with Santa Claus. So it's just fascinating how I think like every different region has their own kind of cultural myths and creatures that come about.
Right. it feels like Krampus is kind of like the forgotten like brother or something. You know, we're like, oh well, I'm being ignored, so I'm turning like the dark side. I'm evil because apparently, you know, because I don't give out gifts.
Why? Because I have one like hoof for a you know, foot instead of like a regular foot. Come on, that's give me some love. Yeah, I know. No, he is like the ignored stepchild, basically.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and then if you actually think about it, right? These stories, like even about Santa Claus, you know, it's kind of weird for him to kind of go down a chimney, right? Like how you always hear about it.
Right.
And as a kid, it's like, what? Why can't you just, you know, find a way to go to the front door or something? I mean, yeah. And obviously, we know that now in this new generation, it's very different because most places or houses don't even really have a chimney anymore.
Right.
Well, what are you gonna do? You know.
But you know what's weird? So now that I think about it, because like you had mentioned, like that sometimes spells are associated with Krampus.
Yeah.
So I remember as a kid, like my parents on Christmas Eve sometimes would, you know, I don't know who was doing it, but somebody would go and like shake some bells, and they'd be like, "Oh boy, kids, that's Santa Claus is here. He's up on the roof right now, and like, you gotta go to bed because if he knows you're awake, you won't get in."
Oh, you get gifts. Okay.
And so it's like, so bells are associated. So it's just interesting how these different aspects are related, you know?
I guess that's where it's funny. We're like, oh, hey, kids, Santa Claus is coming, better go sleep, and all of a sudden, boom. It's like, oh my gosh, Krampus. Like, yeah, exactly. So, Michael, Krampus,
Yes.
do you believe in Krampus?
Yes.
Oh, you do. I see.
I do not. No.
Oh, you got me excited there for
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it would be exciting.
That would be exciting.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, of course, even we don't believe in it, it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? Because we've seen all kinds of things before in the past, so who knows? But however, the lesson here is for you all not to be naughty. Be nice, be kind, you know?
Yeah. And you know, and be concerned about who might be crawling out of your chimney if you still have a chimney.
Exactly, yeah. And if you hear bells and chains, then you're in trouble.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But anyways, well, y'all, have a good, safe holidays. Happy holidays. And
Happy 20 to the new year.
Yeah,
2025.
yeah. And please share, subscribe, like, and continue to tune into our stories. We have a lot of these that that we have coming up in 2025, and we'll see you then.
Yeah.
Okay.